Hello and welcome to the first topic in our series, which is why are native plants important? And this will also cover steps 1 and 2 in the flowers badge. So if you are a Girl Scout Junior looking to kind of complete that, then there will also be a timestamp in the description box of when exactly those times are for that. But of course, if you want to stay for the full thing, you are welcome to. So before we begin, we should probably define what a native plant even is. So according to the National Wildlife Federation, a plant is considered native if it has occurred naturally in a particular region, ecosystem, or habitat without human introduction. So some examples of this would be the California poppy, which is our state flower, well, if you live in California, and that's a California native, but of course this could be anywhere in your region. You'd have to kind of look at those, but for me, who's in California, it would be the California poppy and white or black sage. A few reasons of why they are important. There will be 3 main topics: pollinators, our ecosystem, biodiversity. So we'll kind of go each through those a little bit more in depth and kind of just add a few things here and there. So pollinators. So pollinators are wildlife such as birds, bees, moths, butterflies, etc. They go through the process of pollination, which is taking pollen from one flower to another for the purposes of reproduction. And these native plants help provide the food and water necessary for these pollinators to carry out their duties. And in fact, some types of pollinators can only survive off of certain types of native plants. So it's really important that we keep their home intact and, just really preserve that for them, because I'm sure we wouldn't want anybody coming to our homes and kind of destroying them, especially when we need them to survive. And this is actually kind of like a little fun fact, but honeybees are responsible for over 90% of our apple crop, our nation's apple crop if you live in America. And so that's a pretty crazy number to think about. So really, pollinators also help with our everyday lives. Just without them, it's kind of like a domino effect, and you may hear me talk about that throughout the video of, without these native plants to provide the shelter for these pollinators can't help us with, things that we need in our life, then that also does affect our everyday life. So even if you don't care as much for the pollinators, it also affects you. Our next little section is biodiversity. And if you're not familiar with that is the variety of life in the world or in a particular habitat or ecosystem. So really what this means is that a diverse variety of wildlife is attracted to native plants, which in turn enhances the biodiversity of the area. So these are just a few photos of what that looks like. Not only does it look really pretty, but it is really important for our ecosystem. And a way that I kind of like to think about it is, as humans, it's kind of similar to humans, because we all bring our own type of different talent, or we each have our own uniqueness that we bring to the table, and our whole society and world wouldn't be the way that it is today without each of those little things that we each have in our own unique way. So it's the same with nature, it's kind of like a team effort to create the diverse variety that we have today. And our third section is the ecosystem. So a healthy ecosystem defined by the National Wildlife Federation is an ecosystem where native plants and animals are balancing each other out while also interacting with non-living things. So as you can see, just in the definition of a healthy ecosystem, native plants are definitely needed, and they kind of help regulate just overall things in our nature, such as pests and climate, and they can actually help purify water and act as an air pollution filter. So I know I kind of went through those last few facts a little fast, so I'll kind of break those down a little bit. So similar to other plants, native plants go through that process of taking in the air that we breathe, or taking in that CO2, which is what we breathe out, and releasing oxygen, which is what we need for healthy lungs. So it's really important that they're there to, kind of regulate that. And they can also take in those greenhouse gases, that CO2 that we produce so much of, that we really need to be mindful of in our everyday lives. But yeah, so they can help take those in and just kind of help filter through that air and give us more of the healthy air that we need. And they can actually reduce the amount of flooding. So it's really important that they're there to just regulate different things in our environment. And they're really the base for food chains in all ecosystems, kind of going back to that domino effect I was talking about. The pollinators are a great example. So without those apple crops, without those honeybees to be there for the apple crops, that kind of affects us, and we wouldn't barely have any apples. So that's just a simple example of how that could really affect our everyday lives. Those are just some reasons of why native plants are important. Of course, there are tons more, and I'll also put in some links in the description box below so you can kind of explore on your own or do your own research. But now we're going to go into the Girl Scout Flowers Junior Badge portion. So if you are not a Girl Scout, I mean, you could of course still listen to it, you're welcome to, but if not, that's what I have for this video. But if you are a junior, then let's get into it. So I know things may feel a little funny now that we're in COVID times, but this is kind of just a little twist on the Flowers Badge that you can do more in your home, so you don't have to go out into your town a whole lot if you're more comfortable staying inside. So I will be sharing, for the first step, this will include steps 1 and 2, I will be sharing 5 different photos of plants, native plants to California, but of course if you're not in California, you can also look this up for yourself. And instead of going out in your town and finding magnifying glasses, I will put pictures up, and you can pause on that picture and kind of draw and really just pay attention to what you see and write down your wonderings, and just even draw a little picture of it, color it if you want, just really do whatever you want, let your creativity go. So our first flower is the California poppy, and this is, as I had said before, the California's state flower. And you can just pause it right now, kind of see what your wonderings are. And for our second one, we have the coast sunflower, and this plant belongs to the coastal sage community and is native to Southern and Baja California. And pause. And then we have the apple blossom yarrow, and there's actually different types of yarrow, but this one is pink, and butterflies, bees, and hummingbirds love it. Our fourth one is the seaside daisy, and this one is seen a lot along the beach, along the coastline of Oregon and California. So if you do live near this area, keep an eye out for them if you go to the beach. So you can pause now. And our last one is foothill penstemon, and this plant is loved by hummingbirds, and it's actually very, very pretty with its ombre, kind of beautiful blend of blue, lavender, and purple. So you can go ahead and pause for this one as well. So I'm sure that you had some beautiful drawings, and I wish they could see them, but we're going to move on to our second little section, and we are going to meet a flower family, and I am going to introduce to you the black sage. So this is part of the mint family, and it's actually the most common type and the largest type of this mint family, and it attracts birds, bees, butterflies, and they actually have little seeds that are loved by quail. And this is what it looks like as a baby. And it's very fragrant, this plant, similar as if to a normal mint plant that you may see. When you rub it between your fingers, it smells really, really good. So this is just, these are different types of mint plants that are part of that family. but black sage is native to California, and it's a really cool plant. And I would definitely, if you do live in the area of California, definitely go and see if you can identify one, maybe on a hike or something that you may go on, or just see if you can find it in any area local to you, because it is a really cool and unique plant. And I kind of made a little family tree of my own for these flowers, so I'll put that up right now. So I hope you learned something. Really, as you saw, the steps weren't too hard. It's actually pretty interesting once you get into them, and flowers can be really, really pretty and also have really important uses for other things. So it's important to just look into that too. But hopefully this was helpful for you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.